You are like one of the most exhausting, self-indulgent people I've met in my entire life.
TommyInnit and Dream have been going back and forth with various different accusations within this previous week. For a summary on the entire situation, I recommend watching my previous video, but since Dream released his video, this seems to be the first actual reply we've got from TommyInnit. Tommy somewhat replied through an episode on Tommy and Jack Manifold's podcast, Shut Up I'm Talking. The episode was released earlier today, titled An Eventful Week. However, within this episode, Tommy and Jack constantly make reference to Dream, but never actually go into detail about their response. They disgustingly, in an attempt to profit off this drama, said to find more details out that you have to subscribe to their Patreon for $7 a month. But don't worry guys, you don't have to do that, because I did it for you. Please subscribe. I can't believe I paid $7 for this, and we're so close to 16,000 subscribers, so help me out. Regardless, let's take a look at what Tommy had to say in reply to Dream. Firstly, within their free podcast.
I had to like tee myself up to do my serious video, which I did. That was one of the videos, and I really had to get into that energy, and I'm just
Tom, I fear we're talking about this too much for free.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
As you saw, Jack stops Tommy at first from discussing the Dream situation, as he says, "Tom, I feel like we're talking about too much for free." It was also earlier mentioned in the podcast that they wouldn't be speaking too much about Dream on their free podcast episode, and that instead, people should go to their Patreon, a Patreon which has a paywall of $7 a month. So to get this straight, they've clickbaited their entire audience by calling it an eventful week in the title, making people click as they want to see what Tommy says about Dream, but now they're telling people that if they want to hear about the situation, they have to pay. Is no one seeing how scummy this is? I said this from the start of this situation. Tommy knows exactly what he's doing by making these absurd comments on various content creators. He's simply using all the interaction to farm as much money as possible off both his products and his Patreon. And by the way, that is the only reference Tommy makes about Dream throughout the entire YouTube podcast episode. But as I said, I then subscribed to TommyInnit's Patreon, which is where I saw this, a completely different podcast episode titled Responding to Dream. While I can't show the exact clips due to copyright, I'll go over what they spoke about. Tommy and Jack start the episode by discussing how it's strange Dream involved himself within drama for no reason, by making the tweet in which he called all of TommyInnit's fans the arsler. But if I'm not mistaken, Dream explicitly said within his video that his involvement had nothing to do with Tommy arguing with XQC and Mizkif. Dream actually said that he involved himself as he was sick of Tommy and his group constantly kicking him in the back while he was already down. More specifically, Tommy and his group joked about Dream being a pedophile throughout the whole time that Dream was going through that situation.
I get why he might be mad about the lies. That group being like, he's a pedophile all the time, which again, I don't like. I think we shouldn't joke about people being pedophiles unless we actually know for sure. Because, dude, the Brighton lot, I want to stop throwing out random strays and calling people pedophiles just for cheap laughs.
Which for someone you consider a friend is extremely scummy. Tommy then goes on to say that before this whole drama, he had spoken to Dream privately on several occasions, expressing how he didn't like his behavior and that Dream needed to change. Tommy said Dream would always deny his behavior or simply say no to changing. I find this a little bit hard to believe. I don't see Dream just straight up saying no and not even considering what Tommy was saying. However, Tommy goes on to explain that his initial argument with Dream happened over Tommy's skit video that he released titled If YouTubers Were Honest. It's a video in which Tommy made fun of the situation between Dream and Quackity that was still ongoing at the time. Tommy then says soon after releasing it, Dream sent him some extremely rude messages, to which Tommy did not reply. Again, I think Tommy is over exaggerating what actually happened, so let me break it down. Tommy released a video making fun of Dream while he was already being attacked on Twitter. Tommy clearly chose to side with Quackity, presenting Quackity as being in the right and Dream as this almost villain-like figure. So again, I see no issue with Dream sending Tommy a message, because if my friend was making fun of me in front of millions of people when I'm already being attacked, who wouldn't share the same reaction as Dream? Regardless, Tommy then goes on to say that he later started ghosting Dream as Dream messaged his mother, which again, I see no issue with Dream's message to TommyInnit's mother. I agree that it's a little bit strange to message somebody's mother, but if you look into the context of the situation, it's easy to tell that TommyInnit's mother was upsetting herself, arguing with young children on Twitter in an attempt to defend her son from Dream fans due to Tommy's extremely biased video. Then later within this Patreon episode, Jack then goes on to express his opinion on the situation, and he pretty much just said Dream was lying in his video, and that's that. I seriously do not get how Jack Manifold and TommyInnit are able to constantly get away from providing any form of evidence. Their opinions continue to be valued as the truth, but I haven't seen a single screenshot against Dream. The only person I can give credit to is Tubbo, who actually showed evidence within his stream. Dream within his video said that Tommy was paying child labor companies for his merch, but when Tubbo saw this, he disproved it. He showed that the payments were actually for his expenses of living in LA.
I can talk about this, actually. You see this invoice here that Dream's showing,
and multiple
and
of
you'll
his
see
creator
another
friends
one.
got scammed and
this invoice here, both of these invoices were paid by me. This car rental is the invoice I paid for the car I rented in LA. You can see in my Instagram post. This is an invoice that I paid. This is not an accurate example of a merch company scamming creators.
But anyway, back to the podcast. Tommy then goes on to say that Dream has had this disgusting behavior and attitude for years, and that he refuses to change, which I find extremely ironic, considering Dream showed many conversations of him clearly asking Tommy to stop making jokes at his expense, and I don't see Tommy trying to change, or even apologizing for his behavior publicly once. I completely agree. Dream is in the wrong in several ways as well, but I am not a fan of how Tommy is continuing to manipulate his audience. Jack Manifold did also go on to say that he finds it funny to joke about sensitive topics, even though they're at the expense of people like Dream, which is such a strange mindset to have. Considering at the time, as I said, that Dream was their friend, it shows how immature these two are really acting. Regardless, that's the summary of their podcast. I still can't believe I paid $7 for this just to see two very immature people take no accountability for anything that's happened, and then continue to completely blame Dream for the majority of it. Overall, I believe a lot of TommyInnit's fans are, to say the least, relatively blind. They follow and believe whatever he says, even if no evidence is presented. But I also have to say, while Dream did create a good video, which did have a lot of evidence, some of that evidence was later disproved by Tubbo. So both Dream and Tommy are in the wrong in more ways than one. And simply put, this whole situation should have remained private, and I feel we can all agree there. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe as we're so close to 16,000 subscribers. As always, I'll keep you all updated if anything else happens, but for now, stay safe out there and peace out.